I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Hey, Jack, I feel like I'm flying.
Good. You respond to him, not to action. Okay?
It should be about her having fun and joy in this moment, and she doesn't care that all these guys with all their machines.
You think you know everything about the movie Titanic, right? You've probably watched it so many times that you could recite every single line by heart. But what if I told you that there's one scene that's so weird, so completely unbelievable, that once you see it, you'll never be able to watch the movie the same way again? And the craziest part? The directors didn't even try to fix it in editing. They just left it there, hoping nobody would notice. The scene I'm talking about happens during one of the most intense moments in the entire movie. Rose is running through the flooding ship. Water is everywhere, and she's desperately trying to save Jack's life. Her heart is pounding. She's scared out of her mind, and she knows time is running out. That's when she spots something that could save them both. A fire emergency box with an axe inside, protected by a sheet of glass. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Rose doesn't hesitate for even a second. She runs up to that emergency box and smashes a glass with her bare hands. You can hear the crash. You can see the glass shatter into a million pieces. And Rose grabs that axe like her life depends on it. Because honestly, it does. This moment is supposed to show us just how brave and determined Rose really is. She's not the helpless rich girl anymore. She's a fighter. But here's where everything goes completely wrong. And I mean completely wrong in the most obvious way possible. After Rose breaks that glass and takes the axe, something absolutely impossible happens. If you keep watching the next few shots really carefully, you'll notice that the glass she just smashed is somehow back. Not just a little piece of it, but a huge chunk of glass is sitting there perfectly intact, like nothing ever happened to it. Wait! Let me explain this again because it's so crazy. Rose breaks the glass. We see it shatter. We hear it break. She takes the axe and runs away. But then in the very next shots, that same glass is magically unbroken again. There's no sound of new glass being put in place. There's no scene showing someone fixing it. The glass just appears out of nowhere, completely perfect and untouched. This isn't some tiny detail that you need a magnifying glass to see. Once you know where to look, it's so obvious that you'll wonder how millions of people watched this movie and never caught it. It's like watching someone eat an entire pizza and then seeing that same pizza appear on the table again, completely untouched. It just doesn't make sense. But wait, because it gets even weirder. Right after this glass mystery, Rose does something with that axe that will make you question everything you thought you knew about movie magic. She runs to where Jack is trapped, handcuffed to a pipe or room that's filling up with freezing cold water. This is supposed to be the most dramatic, heart-stopping moment in the entire film. Jack is literally about to drown, and Rose is his only hope. So Rose positions herself to break the handcuffs with the axe. She's shaking, she's crying, and she's trying to be so careful because one wrong move could seriously hurt Jack. The camera shows us how scared she is, how much pressure she's under, and how this one swing could mean the difference between life and death. It's supposed to be this incredibly tense moment that has you on the edge of your seat. But then Rose swings the axe down, and something completely ridiculous happens. The axe head, the metal part that's supposed to be hard as rock, actually bends when it hits the handcuffs. Not just a little bit, but it flops around like it's made out of rubber. Because guess what? It actually was made out of rubber. Now, I understand why they use a fake axe. Safety first, right? Nobody wants Leonardo DiCaprio getting hurt during filming. But the problem is, they weren't supposed to make it so obvious. The axe bends so much that it looks like a toy you buy at a dollar store. Instead of this powerful tool that could save Jack's life, it looks like something a kid would play with in their backyard. The moment you see that axe flop around, the whole dramatic scene just falls apart. You're supposed to be worried about whether Rose can break those handcuffs in time, but instead you're wondering why she's trying to break metal chains with what's obviously a rubber toy. It's like watching someone try to cut down a tree with a pool noodle. It just doesn't work. And this brings up something really interesting about how movies are made. You see, the people making Titanic spent an absolutely enormous amount of money to make everything look perfect. They built massive sets. They hired hundreds of actors. They spent months filming every single scene. James Cameron, the director, was famous for being incredibly picky about every tiny detail. He wanted everything to look so real that people would forget they were watching a movie. But somehow, this rubber axe moment slipped right through. Either nobody noticed it during filming or they noticed it but decided to keep it anyway. Maybe they thought people would be so caught up in the drama that they wouldn't pay attention to the axe itself. Or maybe they filmed it so many times that they just got tired and decided it was good enough. The thing is, once you see these kinds of mistakes, you start looking for more. And trust me, there are plenty more to find in Titanic. There's a scene where water crashes through the ship's windows. But if you watch really carefully, the windows break in two completely different ways in the same scene. It's like they filmed it multiple times and then mixed up which shots they were using. Then there's a moment where you can actually see a cameraman's reflection in a glass door. Jack is supposed to be walking into the fancy part of the ship for the first time, and we're supposed to see everything through his eyes. But instead, we get a sneak peek at the camera crew. It's like getting a behind-the-scenes look that nobody asked for. There's even a scene where Jack's suspenders disappear and then reappear like magic. 1 second he's wearing them, the next second they're gone, and then they're back again. It turns out they used stunt doubles for some shots, and somebody forgot to make sure the clothes matched exactly. But here's what's really crazy about all these mistakes. Titanic was one of the most expensive movies ever made at that time. The people making it had access to the best technology, the most talented actors, and unlimited resources to make everything perfect. They spent years working on this film, checking and double-checking every detail. Yet somehow, a rubber axe made it into one of the most important scenes in the movie. It's like spending $1 million on a beautiful painting and then accidentally dropping ketchup on it, right? Before you hang it in a museum. You have to wonder how it happened. Some people think these mistakes actually make the movie more interesting. They give you a glimpse into how movies are really made, with all the chaos and problems that happen behind the scenes. When you see that rubber axe flop around, you remember that there were real people with real challenges trying to create something amazing. Other people think these bloopers are just embarrassing. They spent so much money and worked so hard, only to have silly mistakes ruin the magic. When you're supposed to be crying about Jack and Rose's love story, the last thing you want to think about is rubber props and continuity errors. But here's the truth. Even with all these mistakes, Titanic is still an incredible movie. The story is beautiful, the acting is amazing, and most of the special effects still look fantastic even today. A few silly bloopers don't change the fact that millions of people around the world love this film and always will. The rubber axe scene has actually become kind of famous among movie fans who love hunting for mistakes. There are entire websites and YouTube channels dedicated to finding these kinds of errors in popular films. People watch movies frame by frame, looking for anything that doesn't quite make sense. And the funny thing is, the more popular a movie becomes, the more likely people are to find its mistakes. Titanic has been watched by so many people so many times that every single frame has probably been analyzed by someone somewhere. That's how we know about the rubber axe, the disappearing glass, and all the other weird moments. What's really interesting is thinking about how different things would be if they made Titanic today. With modern computer effects, they could probably fix the rubber axe digitally so it looks completely real. They could make sure the glass stays broken, the suspenders stay consistent, and the cameraman never appears in reflections. But back in the 1990s, when Titanic was made, they didn't have those same tools. Once something was filmed, it was much harder to change it later. If the axe looked rubbery on camera, they pretty much had to live with it or film the whole scene again. And filming again meant spending more money, hiring all the actors again, and setting up those massive, complicated sets one more time. So in a way, these bloopers are like little time capsules. They show us what movie making was like before computers could fix everything. They remind us that even the biggest, most expensive films are made by regular people who sometimes make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes end up being more memorable than the scenes that went perfectly. The next time you watch Titanic, I guarantee you'll be looking for that rubber axe scene. You'll be waiting for the moment when Rose swings it down and it flops around like a wet noodle. And when you see it, you'll probably start laughing even though you know you're supposed to be worried about Jack and Rose. That's the power of movie bloopers. They can completely change how you experience a film, turning serious dramatic moments into unintentional comedy. But they also make you appreciate how much work goes into making movies and how impressive it is when everything actually does go right. The rubber axe in Titanic has become one of the most famous movie mistakes of all time, right up there with the coffee cup in Game of Thrones and the car in the background of Braveheart. These moments remind us that even the most careful, most expensive productions can have silly human errors. And honestly, I think that makes movies more fun to watch. Knowing that there might be hidden mistakes waiting to be discovered turns every viewing into a treasure hunt. You're not just watching the story anymore. You're also looking for clues about how the movie was really made. So there you have it. The story of the most unbelievable scene in Titanic that somehow made it past all the editors, all the directors, and all the people whose job was to catch these kind of mistakes. A rubber axe that bends like a toy in one of the most dramatic moments in movie history. If this video opened your eyes to something you never noticed before, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps us out. And if you want to see more videos about hidden movie secrets and crazy bloopers that somehow made it to the big screen, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Trust me, once you start looking for these kinds of mistakes, you'll find them everywhere, and we'll be here to show you the most unbelievable ones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we dive even deeper into the secrets that Hollywood doesn't want you to notice.